Today we're going to talk about this SGT-DI. It's a new pedal from Ampeg. It's a preamp and so much more than that. We're going to talk about all the features. We're going to listen to it. You can decide if you think it sounds good and if you think the value is there. And also we're going to talk about IR, what it is. Is it important for bass players to know? I should say Ampeg, they did send this pedal to me, although I'm not being paid. And I'm not going to show them this video before I post it. This is honestly what I think. There's some things that I really like about this pedal. There's some things that I'm not as excited about this pedal. I'm going to share all of that with you. If you're watching this video, it means you're probably a bass player, and it probably means you're a serious bass player. So if that's the case and you want to get to the next level with your playing, I have a bass course. The link to that is in the description. Now that that's out of the way, let's check out this pedal. This thing has a lot going on. So it's a preamp. It has overdrive. It has two different sort of sounds, the SVT and the B15 sort of sound. Pretty extensive EQ section with bass, mid. In the mid, you can select the frequency. Treble, it's got an ultra high, it's got an ultra low or a cut. And then it also has a compressor. It also has this sort of practice section you can plug in like an MP3 player or a metronome or something and then kind of blend in that signal. And then you have cab sim stuff. So it comes loaded with a 115, a 410, and an 810, and then you can turn on cab sim and turn it off on the side here. And the center is off, and then you can flip up to cab, which would engage the presets, or you could go to user, and then you could use the IR loader, the Ampeg software, to load on your own IRs onto this machine with the USB. What is IR? It stands for impulse response. What does that mean? The way I like to think of it is it's like you are assigning a fingerprint on your sound, and that fingerprint is the sonic identity of a specific speaker and microphone, and it will make your signal sound like it's coming out of a speaker and being mic'd up, which is a very powerful thing. Not all of us have a bunch of speakers sitting around and a bunch of different microphones sitting around. You can also download more IRs or generate your own IRs and then load them on this thing. What this is allowing you to do is to make your bass signal sound like it's coming out of whatever bass cabinet with whatever microphone you want. And then you have a cab level, you have a direct out, and then you also have ground lift. And then on top, a lot of routing options. You have input, a through, a preamp out, a line out. So, I mean, there's a lot going on here. It's kind of a one-stop shop for bass sounds. I think this sounds good. I think this circuit, the SVT and the B15, this is like a nice sounding drive sound. Without being too rude, I just don't like the way the scrambler sounds in the scr-di. I was afraid that this was just going to be this and also with IR. And it's not. This is a better sounding circuit in my opinion. I really like the fact that this metal bar is here. If you can see this, I'm guessing the reason this is here is to protect these switches. So if this pedal's on the ground and you step on it with your foot isn't going to accidentally. I think this EQ sounds really good. And also just one of the joys of being a musician, potentiometers that like feel good to turn. I know that's a small thing. Especially I like this mid-range where you can select the mid-range frequency and boost or cut it. I think my biggest concern with this pedal, to get to this, it's a spring-loaded thing, so you press this and then it pops out, right? But then this knob, this seems way less robust and heavy-duty than these. Like, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but like I can actually take my fingers and just like wiggle this thing around and it just feels loose. There's a little bit of give in it before it's even turning the potentiometer. This is going to be the first thing to go. Like, I don't know how this is going to hold up to wear and tear. This compressor, like, this is not a super usable compressor to me without getting too much into compression. I like to think of compression in two ways. There's like creative compression where you're tweaking the compressor, the ratio, the threshold, the attack and the release to create sounds that you couldn't really create with just your fingers. Or there's a method of compression where it's just kind of cleaning up sloppy playing, inconsistencies. This compressor, there's one knob. The manual says it's controlling the ratio, but I think it's also controlling the threshold at the same time, because as you turn it up, then the compressor LED comes on, which to me means this is controlling the ratio and the threshold. So to me, this is just one knob on a compressor that just squishes things more and more. This is not a very usable compressor to me. It's not a compressor that I would actually use because there's not a lot of controls to it. And I don't particularly like the way that this compressor sounds. So it's a feature that I'm like, it's cool that it's there, but I'm never going to use it. And then the other thing I will say is the IR software itself. It's fairly user-friendly. It's not too complicated. I would like to see it come with a few more options. I'd like to see some more different microphone options on different speakers and things like that. And maybe that's coming. Maybe that's something that you might purchase from Ampeg in the future. I will say in a period of about 10 minutes of me using that software, it did crash like twice. And that might not be Ampeg's fault at all. It might have to do with like an operating system thing. And I should say too, the presets do sound good on the cab sim. I think the question that you have to ask yourself is, are these features important to you? Do you want to have everything in one? Do you want to have the practice thing? Do you want to use this compressor? Do you want to use IR? Do you want to sit there with the software and tweak and load things? To me, I'm more just concerned about how it sounds, and I do think it sounds really good. It might be cool to put this head to head with some of the other options in the same class of pedal in terms of cost. Maybe that's a cool video in the future, like comparing this to like some of the other $500-ish preamp pedals. Let me know if you want me to do that video. It sounds good. I think the B15 sounds a little better than the SVT. The sweet spot for me with this pedal is that B15 set to 115 with the cab sim on with the EQ relatively flat and no compressor. I think that's the best I have gotten this pedal to sound. I would like to see Ampeg, if you're listening, take this circuit and release this pedal's little brother. Make it a flip top in a box. Make me a little B15 pedal. Just make it like it's set to flip top mode and make the best sounding little flip top pedal on the market. And I think it would be a hit. Let me know what you think. Do you think it sounds good? Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Bass is cool. Bass is fun. I like playing bass. It's a good time. If you want to play more bass, if you want to get better at bass, I have a bass course. It's like a 2.5-hour bass course where I teach you a lot of the things you need to know if you want to play bass. And I think it's good. So the link is in the description. And other than that, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you on the next video.